Well, good Thursday morning to you. Hey, before we even dig in for today and our sprint to the finish study, and we only have today and tomorrow, and we're done. Uh, I want to invite the men, any men watching this morning. Today is our monthly men's breakfast, 19 restaurant meeting rooms. I hope you'll come out, have some eggs Benedict with us. We have a wonderful program by Dave Osterman, who was in the Arctic Circle and he took such amazing pictures of God's beauty up in that area in the northernmost parts of Norway. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of interest, good talk. And today it is underwritten. There's no cost to you. It's already paid for by one of our brothers. So come on out. Hope to see you there 9 a.m. today. Now, our chapter that we're going to talk about today is about the reality of opposition. The Great Commission was given by Jesus. Who do you suppose would be opposed to that? The taking of the gospel to every ethnicity around the world. That's right, Satan, Satan, and his demons, his minions, you could say. It's serious business, and he has caused pure persecution and made it as hard as he knew how to for Christians to do that, literally from the early days of the church, with the first martyr being Stephen, one of the deacons of the early Jerusalem church, Acts chapter 7. But it's continued right down to this very day. And there are thousands of believers who die for their faith every year, not just for taking the gospel to other places, but just for being a Christian in areas that they're not supposed to be. It is a spiritual battle that plays out with people's lives and suffering and persecution today. I encourage you to read, if you want to see what's daily or happening monthly, Voice of the Martyrs, Voice of the Martyrs, monthly magazine that comes out and will keep you abreast of those types of things and how you can pray. The chapter in this book recounts many difficulties around the world where Satan makes it difficult. Uh, I've been aware of this. Have you ever read Fox's Book of Martyrs? Written in the early 1900s. Thick book. I meant to have my copy here, but anyway, hundreds and hundreds of Christian stories, how they stood up for their faith in the light of death, really, and suffered death for their faith. Fox's Book of Martyrs. Let me just read this one story real quick. And I'm not even reading the whole story, but it's about Ahmed, who lives in one of the world's most restrictive countries, where the law, the Constitution requires every citizen to be a Muslim. But Ahmed, so I'm not telling you all the story of how he became a believer and how he shared a faith and how he formed a small group of men to to study the Bible together. Well, so I'm picking it up part way through, and now he's been arrested and he's standing trial. Here's what it says. A few days later, they were taken before the nation's top persecutor. And man, actually, Ahmed knew. The accusations against you are very serious. Why destroy your life? Just confess Muhammad and you'll be free. And Ahmed replied, I cannot. The accusations are true. I follow Jesus. 3 days later, there was a trial, and the judge warned Ahmed that apostasy carries the death penalty. Still, he refused to renounce Christ. The judge stared at him in amazement, and when another man did the same, the judge stopped calling the various cases, unsure what to do. Were they all willing to die? His whole group of men were on trial. Several former colleagues came to persuade Ahmed he was offered money and promised a better job if he would just say the words. His sister came, sobbing, and threatened to kill herself he gently told her, I cannot recant. And then, miraculously, they were all released. The men were amazed. Nothing like this had ever happened in their country. They left prison rejoicing and praising God for his miraculous rescue. And their story swept the nation. Some were outraged, but others were drawn by the believers' astounding faith. Ahmed is still in danger and he's lost his prestigious position. But he continues to share his faith fearlessly, and the church in their country is growing rapidly. Friends, that story or something like it can be repeated all over the world. Would you be willing to die for your faith? I've asked myself that many times. And I have to say that I believe the answer would be yes, a resounding yes. And I do believe God gives you extra grace at those moments when you really need it. But I think I would. Give that some thought today. Ahmed decided he would die for his faith. And people are making that call all over the country. Can I remind you of one verse when it comes to things like this? Matthew chapter 5, verse 11 says, Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say evil against you because of me, Jesus said. For great is your reward in heaven. They will be rewarded. In Revelation chapter 5, you can read about the special place that martyrs, those who have given of their life for their faith, have in heaven. Have you ever thought, well, why, Jesus? Why? Why would you allow this to happen? And you know what? Jesus would not need to allow this type of evil to go on. He would not, but he does. Why? Doug Cobb in this book, Sprint to the Finish, hypothesizes why. Because persecution, I meant to say, purifies the church. It strips away comfort, pride, and pretense. When following Jesus is risky, only those who truly believe will follow. And that kind of faith, refined by the fire of hardship, is not only a witness to the world, but a weapon against the enemy. Jesus allows it because as it says, it makes the church very serious about all that God has asked them to do. We just need to be sure we do that. I'll never forget. And you who have watched this show for a while know of my trip into Romania before communism fell and the terrible dictator. And I was praying that ruled the country. And I was praying with a pastor one morning, and he was praying that things would get harder in the neighboring country of Hungary for his Christian brothers and sisters. And I said, Pastor, why are you praying that things would get harder? We always pray that God would make life easier. And he says, because they have it so easy in Hungary, which was a communist country, and I had just come from Hungary, and things were not all that easy, but they were not as difficult as in Romania. And he says, because in Hungary, the church is getting very passive about their faith and not taking it seriously enough. They need things to get harder. Wow. What a prayer, and I'll never forget it while I'm alive. Friends, it's the enemy's there. The answer is prayer. We need to be praying for our persecuted brethren, and that they will continue to spread the gospel in their difficult environments. God bless. We're going to wrap everything up tomorrow. You won't want to miss it.
What a day, glorious day that will be.